Same thing as a filet mignon on a cow. And I will just basically take my thumb on both sides and just separate that. You can use a knife, but it's really tender meat. Once I get that kind of separated, I take my fingers and I basically just wrap around the bone. A lot of times this front will come right off. It will on this deer, but you can slide your knife up there and help it. If you can see right here, it's bone. That's no real meat left. That's all bone. When you get to the bottom side, just a gentle pull, and it should come right out. This is the cut of meat that we're looking for. This is the inside tenders. All I've got to do is trim this up, and we'll cover that in the actual meat processing video. But that is a delicious piece of meat right here. I've got a clean bucket because it's starting to warm up some today. We got a few flies and stuff buzzing around. It's no big deal. The meat is perfectly fine. I'm gonna jerk this other inside tenders out. I just grab the whole muscle again, separate it out. See, I didn't even cut anything. You just basically pull it out. Same thing on the bottom. A lot of times on this meat processing, I don't do a lot of cutting. I use my knife. You see, this is actually very thin. It's very not much at all left right there. It's basically just bone. Okay, let me here again. Really nice piece of meat right there. That is the inside tenders, and that'll be delicious. We will just trim this up. We'll butterfly it, put some cream cheese in there, put it on the grill, and it is absolutely delicious. Looking forward to having those probably this evening. Back in the clean bucket here. The next thing I'm going to do on here, I'm going to grab the back straps, and to do this, I'm not able to swivel this deer like I usually do. So I'm going to come back around, and I start at the tail, and I'm just going to make an incision right down the spine, and I'm going to go all the way. Okay, all I'm doing, I'm letting this knife, I like to use a fillet knife here because I can feel the bones. I am literally feeling the spinal bones here all the way through. Okay, come all the way down, same thing at the tail. I'm feeling that. This is on the opposite side. I started off, my first cut was on the right side of the spine. My my next cut's on the left hand side of the spine, and I am just feeling that spinal bone, and I am slicing all the way through. I'm going really slow here. I'll zip this out fast, and there are yellow jackets everywhere. The next thing, it's important, the hind quarter comes down to right here. This is where your back strap basically starts. I do about a 30-degree angle here, not straight across a 90, but 45 would work. I usually go a little less than a 45, and I come back around, but I want my knife to come out the base of the hind quarter right there. Okay, and once I do that, I am just looking for, you can see a little bit of almost daylight area if you do this right. In that daylight, you're basically looking at cartilage in between the ribs. And this is the back strap. This is what everybody raves over. And rightfully so, because it's a delicious piece of meat. And here again, I am just gonna slice right down here, and I'm gonna make sure that I'm continually seeing this. This is gonna get a ton easier in about 3 seconds. 3, 2, 1. Now, what I'm going to do, once I started a little too low. Usually when I get to that first rib, I can come in here, which is about where this is. I can come in here, and you have a fat layer on it. I can separate that with my fingers. See how it pops out? Now, this is part of the trimming. Also, I like to use the deer for a knife holder too sometimes. And what I do is take my hands and I go ahead and trim this fat, or pull this fat off of the back strap right there. You pull it down a little bit. The rest of this, I seldom use a knife on. I can just do gentle tugs. Look right here where my finger is with the camera, and this meat will just slide all the way out, yellow jacket, all the way out to the end. Slides right back out. This is the back strap, delicious piece of meat. We're gonna process this, and we're gonna have this in deer steaks, tenderized here shortly. So notice how nice and pretty and pink it is. That is a product of hanging them up. If I would have done this with a deer fresh and not let the deer hang, then that would not look nearly as good. Same exact thing on this side, guys. About a 30-degree angle. Come across. This is just to get it started. Once I do, I just use my knife to literally, I'm not cutting as much as I am just placing the knife there with just a slight little bit of pressure. Ooh, these yellow jackets are tough. We've done several deer today, and these yellow jackets, I think they must realize that this is the last deer, because they're after the same thing that we are. The delicious deer meat. Okay, using the rib cage for a handle. Come back in again. I'm gonna separate that silver skin. I'm just gonna let that roll right back out of there. Okay, no cutting at all. It's just so super simple. Once you do it the same exact way every single time. In our trimming video and processing a little bit later, we're going to get rid of all this white right here, but this is the raw cut of meat as it comes off the animal right here. Look at the back strap right here. See how much meat right at the back where I got done? See how much meat I left? It's basically zero usable meat. All this is bone right here. The next thing is the hind quarter. Okay, I could trim this off right now, but I'm actually going to save that for a few more minutes. On the hind quarter, we started to tail, remember, on our back strap. That's important because we made this initial cut. The next thing I want to do is get right between these hams, and I'm going to go all the way down to pelvis, just like this, okay? And that is it on this side for right now. Now I'm going to go around to the front side. On the front side, there's something I really want you to notice here. There is a bump right here where my knife is, this muscle, how this muscle has actually got cut just a little bit in the processing. Here it is on this side. It's not the one up here above the knee, but you got another bump right here, right where this knife blade is. That's going to be my incision cut right here. That's going to be on this side. The next landmark I want you to see, here's the knee joints right here. I want to be a little bit below the knee joints on both sides. If you need to, you can mark that for a visual reference. The next thing I do is get right where that muscle makes a little bump up. And I want to make one solid cut all the way down to there, okay? Here again, same thing on this side. Find my bump. I don't know the right physiological term for it, but it's just a bump. There's actually two. There's one at the base of the hock and another one at the base of the hind quarter, and it's a bump. And I want to miss that. I want to miss my knee hock by about 1/2 or 3/4 of an inch. Make that, okay? Once I do, I'm feeling the leg bone here. I can let my knife stick all the way out and come back out, okay? And I just want to make sure those cuts are clean, so I usually just run through there a couple of times. Here again, feeling that leg bone, let it push all the way back out. When I do that, that should have left me landmarks on the back, and it did. You can see my slice right here, and here's my slice, so I can just tie those together. All I'm doing is going right back to the leg bone, okay? Both sides, we're gonna do the exact same thing. And now we're going to go back around the front. All I've got now is basically this hind quarter separated all the way out. Next thing I'm going to do is finish this pelvic bone cut, which is right here. Now I'm going to find that bone, which is a leg bone, with the tip of my knife. I'm going to find it about right here. And I'm going to hug that bone all the way down, okay? It's real important that you, if you like this method, that you do the same way every time. You see the leg bone exposed right here, all the way down. I'm going to do the same thing for this side. What I do on one side, I like to do on the other. Find that leg bone and come all the way down. Now, if you notice, I back up, if I pull this meat up, looks like a perfectly uniform cut, and it is every single deer I skin, because that's what I do. I find that bone, and I was just letting my knife follow that along as I feel it. The next thing is I'm just going to do the same thing. I'm just going to separate the meat from the bone a little bit more right here, and I can come back around to this other side. I can push that meat up and do the same thing on the top side. I don't care if I get all the way through, because I will here in just a second, okay? Same thing here. I'm just gonna separate that meat from the leg bone just a little bit right here and pull down, and I can get just a tad bit more. Now then, that's done. One more cut. So this is almost already wanting to pop off the bone right here. I'll come back around the back. This is the last thing that you really need to know. It's a little bit of a not really a secret, but something that some people may or may not realize. The pelvic bone comes out and makes a prominence like here. It's kind of almost like two horns right here. And what you got to do is you got to get around those. Once I find the pelvic bone, I'm gonna come up and around them. I'm feeling that bone, and I didn't quite get around it. There it is. Now come back to the pelvic bone again. All right. Now all I do is just let my knife help push around here, grab that big hunk of meat, come off. I'm gonna finish trimming the back side of my leg right here, and just all I'm doing is let my knife separate that out. Now it's real important at this stage, and come right down the back of this pelvic bone, you want to put your hand up under. This is going to be a roast. This is going to be the round. I want to put my hand right under here, because this whole entire hind quarter is about to slide right off the bone. All I'm doing is come right down the back side of the pelvic bone, and here we go, right there. That is the whole entire deer ham, and it's boned out, and we're going to further trim this up in the next process in the next video. We'll take this and go to the clean meat bucket. There we go. I'm going to knock this other one off real quick. Same thing on the back side here. remember, this is all bone right here. This you see the fat, and then right with my thumb there's a bone right there. But same thing, I can come right down the pelvis, go right around that little horn, and come right back down. Same thing. Grab this hunk of meat that I've already separated from the bone. I'm gonna roll it back. Now I'm actually able to slide right off the bone right here, and now I'm just gonna start separating. And I'm not even really cutting as much as I am allowing the knife to help me separate the meat from the bone, because it wants to fall off anyway. Did you notice I almost did it with subconsciously? I slid my hand between the roast and the round right here, because I've done so many of these. I'm just anticipating this ham to fall off, and there it is. It's already in my hand right there. Same thing, beautiful piece of meat. We're gonna process this into tenderized steaks here shortly. Now, what you have left here is some scraps, and that on the side, most of this is fat. You got a little bit of muscle mixed into it here. I'm going to use these for my trapping, and I'm going to work those into something I'll use to help me catch coats with. I'm going to put that in another bucket. I'm going to do the same thing here. Now we got shoulders left, and we use these shoulders sometimes. They're super easy. What you can do right here, actually, let me get the camera on my left here. If I can move this a little bit, a lot of times I can see that shoulder blade. When I go right behind that shoulder blade, this whole entire shoulder just pops off. There is no bone. It's what makes the deer so agile. And there we go. Now this does have a bone in it. I'm going to lay this down on my bucket. We're going to debone that here after a while when we get to the processing. And the same thing on this side. Working a time or two, I see where the shoulder blade is. And I'm just using my knife, and we're doing a little bit of cutting here, but the biggest thing that I'm doing is letting that knife separate itself out. Same thing. I'm going to come back and I'm going to process this. Now, the only thing that's left is our hocks. A lot of people would use those and boil them into soup, and that's fine. We've actually got plenty of that soup stock right here already. And I can go ahead and I can trim this meat that I had folded down earlier. I'm going to put it in my coyote pile right here. You can also use these for bait stations. They work really good too. Here again, it's a byproduct. There's not a lot of meat here left to eat, and I've got ribs left. Now, the only thing that I do special on the ribs is I can take my handy dandy Sawzall. I've already got a cut right here. And here I have, I'm going to probably finish this up with a knife. Right there, I've got a slab of ribs right here, and I can cook those as deer ribs. And I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Get a rack of ribs. I'm going to do it from the inside because I'm right-handed. Woo! Look at the yellow jackets. Got a few flies as well. And swap back to my knife. And here's a rack of ribs, along with a 7mm Magnum bullet in between them. So that, guys, is a processing. This is all I got left. Here again, I'm not even going to waste this part. This will go into my trench holes, and I'll make dirt for garden beds a little later on. I can actually harvest these ham hocks out right here, use those for soup material or whatever. You can even use the bones, and if you want to cook those and use them for bone broth or different things, you can certainly do. This is typically where, unless I'm making bone broth or something, this is typically as far as I go, and this will go in my trench and to help me make really, really rich soil for a garden about 2 years from now once these bones decompose. So guys, that is it. That's really, really quick. I just taking time, but usually only takes me 2 or 3 minutes to debone there. And I just wanted to show you how we do this. It's real important to do the same way every single time, whether it's my way or another way. That way all of your cuts of meat look exactly the same. Okay guys, well thanks for watching. We're going to come back and follow this up one more time with a processing video, and we'll show you how hard we trim this. I don't like to have any white whatsoever on my deer meat, and how we grind, and also how we how we tenderize that after that point. So we'll follow it with that, and I appreciate it. Until next time, guys, thank you for watching a bunch, and remember, the smart trapper is always learning.